Are you busy writing your final project? Do you have any experience when your supervisor asks you to redo everything of your final project and then you have to do it again from the very beginning? It will take time, and the time when you have to graduate will be postponed. Now, in this video, I will tell you how to avoid plagiarism by techniques of paraphrasing. What is the advantages? The advantages is for you to not redo everything, and then you can shorten your time and then you can graduate sooner. The first is you have to know what plagiarism is. Do you know what plagiarism is? Plagiarism means taking ideas or works from a source without giving credit to the author. It is seen as a kind of theft and is considered to be an academic crime. Sometimes you don't know that you are doing plagiarism because you don't know how to do the paraphrasing. So, what you need to do is first, you must acknowledge your sources. By acknowledging your sources, meaning that you know who to be written in your references. I give example here from Yuda Aprizani. In 2017, Yuda Aprizani wrote some articles in a kind of proceeding in some national seminar. He took ground and Klingophone and Portman references in his text. Here, you want to take ground and Klingophone and Portman also in your references. What you need to do is to paraphrase everything and you put Yuda Aprizani in your references. Don't just take Brown and Klingophone Portman in your text and then take their name. It is wrong because you read Yuda Aprizani, so you have to write down Yuda Aprizani in your references. Second, by doing summarizing and citation. You have to know when you have to put quotations and when you are not putting quotations. Here, the first one is summary and citations. In summary and citations, you don't have to put any quotation mark. So what you have to do is to summary everything and then you put the name of the author and then also the year and then you put it in your text. Here, no quotation mark. Next is quotations and citations. Different with summary and citations, in quotations and citations, you have to put the text in between both quotation marks. Well, what is the difference? Well, when you are doing your summary, you are using your own text. Here, you don't need to put any quotation mark. But if you want to take exactly what is the other author written in the text, so you have to put the text between two quotation marks. And then not only putting the author's name and also the year, you also need to take and also to put the pages where you found the text in the original text. So don't forget to put quotation mark and also the page of the original text if you want to take exactly what is written in the original text. Next is to check what is the citation style used by your institution. Why? Because by checking prior writing, you can shorten your time to redo everything and then to revise everything and make some adjustment based on the requirement from your institutions. So you have to check whether your institutions need to do APA or MLA or any other citation style. So check before writing. Well, the third is to avoid plagiarism by summarizing and paraphrasing. Before, I have talked a bit about summarizing and paraphrasing. Here, I want to tell you what is the differences between paraphrasing and summarizing. In paraphrasing, it involves rewriting a text so that the language is substantially different while the content stays the same. It means you read everything and then you make other texts based on your own language, while summarizing means reducing the length of a text but retaining the main points. Here, you read everything and then you take some main points and then you wrote it in your text. I found some sources from the Simon Fraser University. In its website, the Simon Fraser University actually has several techniques of paraphrasing. There are 3 steps. Step 1, to read a paragraph from an article that you find interesting. So you read everything through and then you try to think and then you remember everything and then go to the next step. The step 2 is to make notes of what some important points that you found from the article that you read. And then the third one is to put aside all of the article. Then you try to use your notes and some key points and try to use your own languages to make some new texts. So because we are from language department, we also some actually linguistic way in doing some paraphrasing. So I have some practical ways of paraphrasing still taken from Simon Fraser University. The first one is to change a word from one part of speech to another. Here in the example we have, in the original one we have the direct speeches, and then in the paraphrasing results we change it into some indirect speeches. Well, next is to use synonyms. By using synonyms here, I don't mean like you have to try to find its synonyms of each word, but rather than you have to try to find and make some adjustment of each phrases or clauses. Here I have example. In the original text, we wrote there, the AIDS crisis poses a national security threat. And in the result, in the paraphrasing results, it is written that AIDS could harm the nation's security. So you try to find synonyms of a clause here. So it can be synonym of each clause or phrases, but not each word. It will be quite troublesome. Next is to change numbers and percentages to different forms. Here in the original text, you read there, African Americans will make up 13% of the US populations, but in the result, you only wrote there 15% or less than 15%. So instead of also saying 13%, you can say less than 15%. Anyway, 13% is still less than 15%. But you have to remember, don't try to change the data. Meaning, if in the original text the data is taken in 1998, meaning in the results you also still need to provide and to write there 1998. Don't change the year, just change the data. Next is to change the word order. What I mean by changing the word order here is to change the active voice to passive voice or vice versa. Here in the example, the original text using the active voices, and then in the paraphrasing results you use the passive voices. So that's what I mean by changing the word order. Next is to use different definition structures. By using the different definition structures, meaning that you take definitions from the original text, but don't take the definition as it is. Instead, you can use your own languages to redefine the structures. You don't need to think a lot. What you need to do is to kind of, let's say, puzzling the languages, the words, to make it new. So the idea is still the same, the words are quite the same, it's just that you try to redoing or also re-changing the word order. Well, next is to change the different attribution signals. You know, the attribution signals is like when you have kind of sentences and then you say there according to someone or also said someone. So you can change that. Instead of saying according to someone, you can say said by Mark Walters. Here in the example, I have original text and also the paraphrasing text. In original text, you have a direct statement between quotations, and then after that, it is written, veterinarian Mark Walters declared in his recent book, 6 Modern Dogs. Here in the paraphrasing results, you move the Mark Walters before the statement that you want to take. So you said according to Mark Walters, and then you kind of take away the quotation mark, so it will become different rather than the original text. But don't forget to put the citation. Well, next, you can also here change the sentence structure and use different connecting words. Sometimes when you use connecting words, you can try to mix and match as long as the meaning is still the same. Both although and however in the examples are actually have a sense of contradictions. Instead of saying although like the original text, you can change it into however. As long as the meaning is the same, as long as the purpose is the same, I think it's okay for you to change the signals or also the connecting words. Well, overall, you can do all of the steps and also all of the tips that I mentioned, but the most important step here is to develop good study habits. By developing good study habits, meaning that you have to develop your way of reading, your way of trying to find references, and also to try to rewrite everything. So here you have to study a lot. Well, you have to try to maintain your time. You also have to read many books for you to be able to produce some new works or some new statement or some new text. So instead of only use one book, you can use several books and then combine it together. By doing it, you have to have this kind of good study habits. So allow sometimes to read a lot of books, allow sometimes to write down some key points, and then you can produce some new text of your own. So to summary everything, what you need to do is first to read. So you have to read as many sources as possible, and then you have to retell. You have to use your own language to tell anybody else about the meaning or let's say the content of the books that you have read. And then the last one is to provide the citations. Although you use your own languages, you use your own words, but don't forget that the idea is belonged to somebody else. Because it belongs to somebody else, so you have to respect their ideas, their thoughts by providing the citations and also by providing their names and also the year in your text. Okay, so that was all of the tutorial or the kind of steps or techniques of paraphrasing that I can give to you, both dailies and also some technique of paraphrasing from CFU or Simon Fraser University were taken, and then I kind of want to thank you to both of these sources because these two sources are actually very beneficial for us to learn about paraphrasing. Okay, thank you, and that's all.